Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Michael. We're very excited to have you joining us this morning on a brisk morning in Charlottesville,
but a good
Virginia.
fall morning. The forecast says it should warm up, so
that's nice.
That's
well,
nice.
At least for the morning, it's a good opportunity to get to your cozy place,
Exactly.
grab your café con leche,
There we
as
go.
I always say, and sit down for our wonderful show of Today y Mañana. We've got some fantastic guests that are going to be joining us very shortly. We're going to be joined by Kendrick Flowers and Deante Anderson of Flowers and Anderson Electric, followed later in the show by Susan Sweeney. She is the owner of Kate Bloom. So we got two great local businesses that are going to come on and talk a little bit about what they do, a little entrepreneurship, what it's like being a small business owner. So we got a fantastic show lined up. Always love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. And of course, we are presented by Emergent Financial Services and powered by our friends at Craddock Serious Insurance, Miguel and Chick, by our friends at the Gym CVille, by Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash, Castle Hill Cider, and of course, always partnering with Ford Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So we got, and of course, I'm here with Michael.
yeah, I'm glad to be here, Alex.
Glad to have you joining me this morning.
Yeah, I'm back. Last time I was here, though, remember I was with Xavier.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
That's true. So this is, it's been a while since
you and me kind of co-hosted.
Well, it'll be fun.
Too long. It's a reunion.
You know, is it more fun with me than Xavier?
I don't want to say that. It was actually pretty fun. It was sort of like unknown. You didn't know how it was going to go, so it was a little more exciting.
Exactly.
Edge of your seat kind of.
With Xavier, you never know.
Yeah,
what's
you
gonna
didn't.
happen.
I was like, "Ooh, how's this going to go?"
Absolutely. So we got. I'm very excited for today's show. I think it's going to be a lot of
Yes,
fun.
I believe
It's
so.
going to be a blast. I'm ready. If you're good, I'm ready to
Let's jump right into it.
Let's do it. So we are very excited to welcome to the show this morning Kendrick Flowers and Deante Anderson. They are the owners of Flowers and Anderson Electric. Kendrick, Deante, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for coming.
Good to be here.
It's glad to have you both here.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know you guys, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you first became interested in the electrician business.
We worked at design together. It was just a thing where electricity was something, like you said earlier, it's something people gonna need. You know what I mean? So it was a good trade to pick up, and I was glad I ended up picking it up. Yes,
How about
sir.
you, Deante?
And my father got me into it when I was probably 12 or 13 years old, man. And I've been in and out of it ever since then. Worked for design, like you say, UVA for a while,
Right.
and then decided to do it on our own.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So how exactly did your father get you into it? Did he bring you along when he was fixing things? And whatnot?
Yeah, bring it along with doing houses,
Okay.
on the weekends. Come go to work with me, come make some money. That was the thing. Come make $1.
There we go.
And learn a trade.
Oh.
Exactly.
Yeah. That sounds like typical dads, right?
Yeah.
Why aren't you making money? You're 10 years old. You just hit double digits. Go make some money.
Right.
Yeah,
Show you how to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Your mom's like, no, let him play outside. He's like, no, get to work.
That's
I
right.
got grass for you to cut.
That's our dad. Remember, every time my mom would be like, "Hey, don't you want to get a snow blower?" And he'd say, "I have 3 sons. That's why I got them to shovel
Yeah.
snow."
That's
Watch
right.
them. I can sit in the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when did you decide to make the jump to say, all right, we love doing the electrician work. It's a great trade. Let's go out on our own and start our own business.
Right. Well, we was at, like you said, we was working at University of Virginia, and it was just time for a change, pretty much. It was just time for a change to see what the business side offers, and I think it's, got a lot of upside to it. Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was the time. Just make the move, See what it's like outside of every day working and or the guaranteed check every week, But make it for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Take that sort of that leap of faith, that chance.
Big time leap of faith.
Did the pandemic influence you in any of your decisions, or because I feel like the pandemic kind of pushed a lot of people to be like, oh, I feel like I could do this. I want to kind of work on my own. Did that have any influence when you kind of jumped into the business?
It did.
Yes.
It had the main influence actually, because certain things we didn't want to do,
Right.
and we wanted to stay, we wanted to keep true to ourselves overall,
Very good answer.
Yeah.
Very good answer.
Yeah, I mean that's just pretty much what did it.
Yeah.
The pressure of wanting to do things and not wanting to do things. You know.
It's, I mean, 'cause then in reality, that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, right? You get to decide, hey, I want to, this is the direction I want to go. This
Right.
is how I want to do things.
Yeah.
These are the jobs I want to take. These are the jobs I don't want to take.
Right.
You have that control.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. It's like a new world.
Yeah. Very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Learning a lot about the business part of the whole LLC thing. So it's exciting.
What's that like? That part? Because I know that we talked to a lot of small business owners that there's what you do, but then there's also like the things you have to do as a small business owner. What's
Yes,
that
sir.
been like to the entrepreneurship side?
Yes, sir.
It's been different. It's been different. Of course, he do a lot of the paperwork. You know, by his name being first.
He's dumping everything on you.
I see that, but no, that's fine though. It's like I said, it's learning. It's pretty much learning and taking everything in stride.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's different, especially paying taxes. You used to somebody automatically taking a tax out of your check, but now you got to go get a tax person, blah blah blah. But it's been good. It's been a good experience because the freedom of us doing our work.
Exactly. You know, I think one of the recurring messages that often pop up when we talk to small business owners like yourselves is it's the price of the flexibility is that you work really hard because there's the work that you have that's your business,
Right.
and then there's all that work that goes on behind the scenes that
Yes.
you've got to take on now.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the reward
The reward, right?
is the flexibility and the fact that you get to keep
Yes, sir.
what you make.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great. We should have did it a long time ago. Yeah, should have did it a long time ago.
Yeah.
Better late than never, though, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
There you go.
That's right.
You guys
That's right.
you got plenty of
Never
time.
late.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Like you
Yes,
said,
indeed.
it's a leap of faith.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that you could do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I do, and he do.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
No, we can.
yep.
Exactly.
So, as electricians, what would you say the most common problems you encounter for people? Like, what is like most often what people kind of call you and say, "Hey, I need help with this," or most common electrical problems?
I don't know. Maybe a light not working.
Okay.
A receptacle not working, or a bunch of receptacles off. Fix a three-way.
Okay.
Come behind somebody and fix something that they might have messed up. You know. A lot of troubleshooting.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, those are some of the basic services you guys provide. It's
Yeah.
typically that.
Basic. That's basic, but
Yeah.
we do remodels, new installations. We do it all.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
do it all.
Generators.
Landscaping, lights. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are some things people should be thinking about as the winter approaches? Is generators a big one in the
Generators,
winter?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it's anything like last winter,
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, you
sir.
want to make sure that's in working order.
Yeah, indeed. Get everything tested and make sure everything is working like you say. Yeah.
So what are some other things people like, okay, some services you guys have that people should know about? Say, hey, if I have this issue, I should give Flowers Anderson a call.
Man, we start doing car chargers, and like you said, we do generators, remodels. If you want to move switches, lights.
Like one part of the house,
Yes.
of a room to another. or
Yes, sir.
something? Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay.
We do all that kind of stuff as well. You got anything you want to add to that?
Not really. I mean, we do it all.
Yeah.
That's pretty
If
much
people
it.
want to add add floodlights or things like that, you guys can help them with that too.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
some changes to their
Yeah.
home.
Yes, sir.
Outside, we just did some garden lighting. That was pretty cool.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
So you do indoor and outdoor.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to keep a round spectrum of of everything we do.
Yeah.
Try to add to it as much as we can. The more things change, try to keep up with it.
Yeah.
At the times.
Yeah.
You got to. You have to.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a lot of experience. Is the neat thing? I mean, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Doing it for a while,
Yeah.
so you've probably seen it all in terms of like, okay, yeah, here's how you fix this one. Here's what this time it looks like. But then you have that spirit of learning to be
Right.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
if I don't know how to do this, I'm gonna
Definitely.
figure
Still
it out.
gotta
Yeah.
find it out. Still gotta figure it out.
Still got to figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yep. And we have been getting a lot of, help from different contractors in the area, local contractors, LME, Quality Electric. We have friends at Budget Electric. So we get a lot of advice from these different, LLCs as well, and they help us along the way with giving us experience and some stuff we might not have seen. So it's been real good.
Yeah, and work too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We stay busy.
That's
We
fantastic.
stay busy. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a good thing.
That's what you want. That's what you want.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's why we in it. We
Exactly,
don't want to sit home
exactly.
twiddling thumbs.
Yeah. Well, I always like to say like there's good busy and bad busy. And bad busy. Like
Yeah.
bad busy, like everything's on fire. But then there's like good busy where there's something going on every day, but it's just you're helping people, you're
Yes.
serving someone.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's always something new that pops up.
Yeah. Not a lot of stress involved. Trying to hurry up and get done. For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Every
the
once
most
in a
part.
while.
Yeah,
Right.
for the most part.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it's the ebb and flow, right? A small business. It's never like you wish it was clockwork. It's like
Right.
5 jobs this week, 5 jobs next week.
Right.
It's like 10 people call one week, 2 people call the next. Then
Right. Right.
Then no one calls like, oh, where's the phone? Is it messed up? It's good though. It's
Yes.
good. I still wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
the
for sure.
excitement of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
a whole
think-
lot of learning.
I think my children kind of admire me for it, because they kind of look like, oh, what you doing?
Yeah.
They ask a few questions every now and then. It's like now my oldest wants to find out what we doing. Can I go to the job with you? I want to see what you're doing.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
That's the-
Maybe I can pass it on to them.
Exactly. Remember the workings of a family business.
Yeah,
Right.
that'd be nice.
Yep.
Right
Yeah,
there.
real nice.
Same way Pops passed it on to him.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. No, there is. I mean, we're in our business because our father was as well.
Really?
So
Nice.
it's and there really
Nice.
is. There's an inspiration when you're growing up because you look up at your father and you're like, not only like is he in business, but he's working for himself.
Right.
Like he's
Right.
not working for someone else.
Right.
He takes risks, right? He works really hard. He's independent, right? And I think at least growing up, we looked at that and like, I want to do that
Okay.
as well. I'm inspired to do that
That's
as well.
cool. And I didn't actually know y'all guys was brothers.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
Yeah, they were brothers. Yeah,
Surprise!
So the whole
Cool.
thing is a family. In fact, the brother who books everything, Nicholas, thank you for booking these fantastic
Oh, okay.
He's
no,
also
I'm
our
Michael though. No, I'm not Nicholas though.
Okay.
I was the
Yeah,
one who booked
so
that.
Nicholas, who you've been talking to, he's
Yeah.
our other brother.
Alright,
There's
cool.
three Urpí boys and then the Urpí Papa.
Cool.
Right?
And
Mrs. Urpí.
Mrs. Urpí's kind of like the brains. behind
Very
everything.
cool. Very cool.
Right. You know, the woman run things, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
No, but there's something great about being like, because every time, like, especially as a child growing up, you're like, oh, who's the boss? Who's the boss? But it's always nice when your children kind of grow up and you ask your dad, like, who's your boss? He's like, I'm my boss.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
I'm the
right.
boss.
I like
There's
that.
something special in that.
It is.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah, speaking of Nicholas, he's watching the show this morning. He's liking it.
Cool,
Thank
cool.
you, Nicholas, for
Thank
watching
you,
the show
Nicholas.
this morning.
Thank you for finding us.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucrecia, for watching the show this morning. Thank you, Sonia Lemus, for watching the show this morning. Oh, we got some fans watching this
I also
morning.
wanted to point out that Deante and Kendrick got absolutely really cool symbol. I don't know if you could kind of puff out your shirt there. I saw it and I said, it looks like the Flash. Are you right?
it is.
That looks like the Flash symbol.
Right.
That's
Right.
another reason to give them a call.
Hey, if you guys have no problem, these guys are superheroes.
We
Exactly.
got
There
you.
you
We got you.
There you go. Because I'm thinking about the word. I mean, if something electrical goes wrong in your
Man.
house, you're like, I need this fixed, and I need it fixed
Yes.
pretty quickly.
Yes, sir. Give us
And
a
we
holler.
will come quick. Dun, 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 dun.
You will come like the Flash.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
That's exactly right. So that's
Good stuff, man.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So, before I let you guys know where if people need help, they need some. What's the best way to get in touch with you guys? Find you guys.
Go ahead.
My phone number is 434-960-6390. Email address, flowerskendrick94@gmail.com. Just shoot us an email. Give us a call. If I don't answer the phone, just leave a message.
Oh,
Text. There's all kind of ways to get with us.
super easy.
Yeah.
And and that way we know you're real. You're serious. Yes.
That's fantastic.
And my phone number is 540-308-6955. 7922. Give me a holler.
Absolutely.
You have to think about it a little bit there,
Yeah,
Deante. You were like, oh, wait,
Well,
what's my
gotta
number?
make sure we're right.
You never call yourself.
I know.
It's in the phone now. We don't even look at this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
People call you. You rarely ever be like, let me dial my own number. Unless
That's
you
right.
lost your...
Especially in today's age, because you have people now in their contacts. Sometimes you kind of forget other people's numbers
You
because
do.
you're just like home
Yeah.
or pops
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
mom, and then you're like, oh, what's your mom's phone number? It's like,
Let me
Exactly.
look it up.
I gotta look it up because
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Used to remember.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but that's because
Yeah.
you used to have to go.
Wow. At the Rotary. Cool.
Yeah, back to the old days. But yeah, so basically it's super easy. You can just give these guys a call, leave a message, text,
Yes.
email,
Yep,
yep.
and they will get back in touch with you and come
In a
solve-
flash, they'll get back to you in a flash.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
In a
And we're
flash,
looking
right.
forward to the call.
Absolutely,
That's right.
absolutely. Kendrick Deante, it's
Yeah.
been an absolute pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank
My
you for coming
pleasure
on.
to
Thanks
you.
for coming on this
Yes,
morning.
sir.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
and we'll be in touch. Let us know how things are going.
All right.
Give us a holler.
We'll do.
Thank God.
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you. Been a blast.
All right. Y'all have a good
That was great. That was great.
I had so much fun. It's always fun to just hear
The energy, the,
energy,
passion
well, and
of
it's like
small
the
business
story
owners.
of how it came
Exactly.
about. You know, just Deante's dad at age 12 being like, come out, make a buck.
Exactly.
Right? And you learn a trade. You gain experience. You become really good at what you do, and then you're like, let me take the plunge. Let me
Exactly.
take the leap of faith.
That's
and do
the
this
most
on my
fun
own.
part when you see that they have this moment. I feel like every kind of entrepreneur has this moment where it's like, there's this like the moment where it's
Yes.
like
Right.
it's a tough decision because you're like, I'm kind of like a little afraid. I'm a little tentative. I'm actually taking this plunge into start my own business. But it's funny because when you see people 6 months or a year into it, they're like, oh, I'm so thankful I did. Even though it was tough work, even though it was a lot of work, they're very thankful that they did.
Exactly. And look at Deante and Kendrick.
They look like they're loving
They're
it.
loving it, and they're like, I should have done this earlier. Should have done this before, but they don't.
Let that be a
plan
lesson
time.
to any like young people out there.
Yeah,
They're like, how should I
exactly.
do this? It's like, hey, do it now because everyone old is telling you they wish they'd done it 5-10 years ago. So
You know, it's just, and it's taking that final, like, this is it. I'm going to take that leap of faith. You know, it's just, I love being energized by just fantastic entrepreneurs. And from one great small business
Exactly.
to another, we are really excited to have on the show this morning Susan Sweeney. She is the owner of Kate Bloom. Susan, thanks for joining us this morning.
thank you for joining, Susan.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
No, it's a pleasure to have you on the show this morning. So tell us a little bit about yourself for those who haven't passed by your place on West Main. How did you first become interested in the world of baking?
I went to culinary school in California many years ago, and in retrospect, I should have just done baking and pastry. I did the full program, and I actually used to do wedding cakes in my tiny little apartment in San Francisco while working full time. I worked for an olive oil company, and I did that for many years. And then moved up to Sonoma and continued doing wedding cakes, but it was always a side hustle kind of situation. I was never ready to take the plunge. And then we moved here in November of 2019 and started a home cake delivery business. So it was actually right when COVID started. It was really
Which is not a
interesting
bad time. That's when people wanted the home delivery.
Yeah, it flourished. I mean, I hate to say that COVID was positive for business, but it was good because people were sending cakes the same way you send flowers and just trying to stay connected. And I had started. I threw up a website. I was just kind of dabbling. I thought I might actually be retiring from baking altogether after so many years. But I have two big sisters that live in town, and I armed them both with like 20 cakes one weekend during COVID, and they gave them to all their friends, and it just kind of spread like wildfire. And then Easter, and then Mother's Day, and it just kind of grew from there.
That's fantastic. So when
So
did you
when did you decide to when did you decide to take that plunge and open up
With the
Cake
storefront?
Blossom?
That was after a solid year. So we just had our 1 year anniversary. So we did
Happy
a little bit
anniversary.
over a year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We did a little over a year, or I guess 18 months from home, which was wild. I had a 3-year-old, 4-year-old at the time. So it was just, she was home and, we're at home.
Yeah.
So.
She wanted to help, but you're like,
wanted to
I'm
help.
not sure this is gonna work.
It was a lot. But yeah, it a leap of faith, really. I mean, there were a lot of great opportunities with spaces. And my brother-in-law, Fred Wolf Ackerman, is an architect in town, so he was really, you know, dialed into what was available and helped us. He did the design of the space, and it was, but yeah, we saw a lot of opportunities of different spaces and great deals, and we found a gem. We found a really beautiful space.
No, you do have a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
There on West Main. So what's behind, I'm curious, what's behind the name? Because it's such, I mean, it works beautifully when you look at the space and when you see the cakes, but what sort of thought Cakes Bloom?
Yeah, so that actually started in San Francisco, and someone had told me something about, like I didn't want to start the business and get a business license when I originally started until I had a name that felt right. And I worked in the San Francisco Ferry Building. I don't know, it's like a big tourist destination. So there's a big farmer's market. I
think, we used to live in California. We were like 2 hours south of San Francisco. And I think we used to, every once in a while, we would go visit.
Yeah, so it was, so I was just spoiled with beautiful produce and flowers. And I always that was what I found beautiful, is fresh flowers on cakes. I never was into piping and gum paste flowers and fondant. That was just, and continues to not be my style. And so I would make these dummy cakes to like build up a portfolio in San Francisco and use flowers exclusively, and that just was always the look. So I was just out running in San Francisco, and there's it's still there, I think, a flower shop called Bloom, and it just like struck me, and I was like, that's it. And I literally went to City Hall the next day, and that was it.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And I still do. I do a lot of pressed flower cakes and fresh floor. That's kind of my whole look.
Your style, which is, it's a very beautiful look. I mean, people can see it streaming. We have a beautiful box of it here, which I can show everyone. But they're also on the screen passing by here. Let's see if I'm watching myself on it.
Oh, you're watching yourself?
Oh, yeah, it's working. It's working. I want to make sure I did it right. This way Judah doesn't have to do it higher. But you can also see on the screen we're putting on some of the beautiful cakes that you have in the flowers. That is just a beautiful part of it, because it mixes obviously something that's done, you know, by a person in hand, by your hand, right? But also something that's from nature.
Yeah, and all local. I've got a network of local growers. So they're all unsprayed, non-toxic, largely edible. I have ways to get around if they're not technically edible, using little floral picks. So they're safe, and that's a big part. I do a lot of wedding cakes, and that's a big part of it. Is I've just seen so much over the years of florists just jabbing these sprayed roses from the other side of the world. And it's like bad on so many levels of just, it's, you know, not healthy to have that in your food, but also the flowers are coming from all over, so they're sprayed to stay fresh. And it's just, the floral industry and the cake industry are very different. You have to be really aware of what people are consuming.
It's nice to know that you kind of put it holistically together and say, all right, how do we introduce flowers to the wedding cake in particular, right? But have it continue with the idea of local and handmade and edible, ideally.
Yeah.
But in other words, there's not a bunch of chemicals that you're sticking on your cake.
Right. Yeah. So it's a challenge, but I've been lucky to find a couple of really great growers, and they keep me well supplied and most months of the year at least.
No, I love that you actually use real flowers too because I don't know about you, but I was never kind of personally a fan of like how they use we use buttercream to make like a fake flower, because it just kind of looks, I mean, it looks nice, but it looks fake, but to actually see like a real flower, I don't know why it brings out extra beauty in the cake. You know, that's very,
nice look.
Thank you.
Absolutely. A couple thank yous. You got some fans watching. Karen Sprott watching the show this morning. Chad Wood watching the show this morning. Friend of the program, amigo del programa, Johnny Ornelas, gracias, watching the show this morning. So we got some definite people tuning in.
Yeah. Cool. So there's a little more also to Cake Bloom than just cakes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, so when we opened the store, my husband was in the wine industry in Sonoma, and we were, trying to think of something really unique. And I think that is still a big goal of ours, is just to really differentiate ourselves from everyone else and be, from the flowers to the experience. It's unlike anything else in town. So we have a champagne bar. So we do sparkling wine with the cakes. And it has really evolved since we started. Originally, we were just going to do whole cakes and fill the case with cakes and have bottles and wine by the glass, and we started doing the cake by the
A little
slice.
slice.
Mostly because it was just, you learn so much over the year, or, over the months when you start, of kind of what works and what makes business sense. And we, in the beginnings, like, we would make a bunch of whole cakes, and, Wednesday, Thursday, we didn't have as much traffic, and then Saturday, Sunday, we'd be wiped out really quickly. So we just couldn't kind of manage the ebb and flow with the whole cake. So we started doing slices, and someone did a TikTok of the cake slices on a board, and that just went crazy. And people started like flying here. From these girls came up from Atlanta. I mean, people coming from hours driving in. They saw the TikTok. It was really powerful and surprising. So we've really changed things quite a bit, and our shop business is largely about this slice program. So we have 8 flavors by the slice every week. Every month, and we change 3 of them each month.
Okay, so 5 are kind of like your steady.
5 are the signatures, and those are what we offer wedding couples, and then 3 of them are seasonals. So you have the full November lineup.
Right,
today.
that's fantastic.
Yes. I think that the little slice idea is actually kind of ingenious, because I don't know about other people, but Alex and I, we love to actually taste different things.
Yes.
So sometimes you could go and it's kind of like they have a big slice and you're kind of like, oh, I can only eat one. Like, I can't eat like 3 different slices. But if you have like all these little slices, it's nice to actually be able to taste little by little, be like, oh, I tasted the chocolate one, or now I tasted the pumpkin one, or the strawberry cake, whichever they are.
Yeah.
I actually think that's very ingenious.
And that's what we've just noticed. That's what everybody really wants, is just the sampler. So it's like a cupcake model, but that's another way, again, that we were trying to be different from everyone else. We don't do cupcakes. So we do cake by the slice, and people come in and they can just do a single slice in a glass, or do a full. We do actually a pairing experience with the 8 slice and the 5 slice.
Oh, so
you
kind
pair
of
in
like
the
glasses of champagne,
Yes.
big champagnes that.
Yeah, and that has been really popular in a lot of glassware. But we do the 5 slice with 5 different, a flight of 5, and it's it's a fun new experience. Nobody else does it yet. So it's
And it works so nicely. I mean, every time I've passed by, you can see just how much fun people are having inside. Just they'll come in there, they'll have the little table, and I've seen people in there in the afternoon. I'll often see people there after work. Like one time I was I think I was getting just you're nearby to the butcher, to JM Stock.
Yeah.
Right. So I was getting some stock, and I'm like, they look like they're having a good time. It's like 5:30. They're there with their cake. They got their
sugar and alcohol. I mean, let's be honest, it's a great way. It's like
It's a
after a
great
long, hard
combination.
day's work, I need to relax,
Yeah.
get a little cake and some wine and champagne.
And people will do that before dinner. They'll come in for a whole flight of 5 before dinner, which is really funny, and call it dinner.
That would be me.
Yeah.
I'm guilty as charged.
That works for dinner.
Guilty as charged. I can't think of a better dinner than 5 slices of cake. But the areas that you've been side talking, that the sugar in the veins, as they always say. But what are the 5? What are the 5
The signatures.
the signature flavors?
We do an organic rainbow carrot, so it's got purple and red and orange, all the different colors. Those are the little specks. With salted caramel and cream cheese frosting. Simply lemon, that has lemon zest and lemon zest in the cake and lemon curd with buttercream. Floral funfetti, which is one of our most popular. It's actually baked with flowers, with edible
with
flowers.
flowers.
wow.
So it's got hibiscus, rose, calendula, and blue cornflower.
That's got to be a different flavor than most people probably used to.
And the brides love it.
Of
And it's
course.
very labor intensive, so we're trying to
Alex is writing that down
figure out
now.
how we're
Brides
going
love
to do
it.
that
Okay.
next year. Because it's pretty costly, because it's a lot of, I literally have a person who's in charge of sorting the calendula and producing all the flowers for that. And then classic chocolate, which has a dark chocolate ganache. And then golden vanilla. So we do a house-made creme fraiche with that one. And it's got vanilla bean chantilly and vanilla bean buttercream.
I can see why everybody just orders the flight.
Exactly,
You'd be
yeah.
like-
You could choose one.
Exactly.
You could
How
choose
do you
one.
pit between them? Be like, no, I think I'll just try them all.
Yeah.
And what are the 3 seasonal
seasonals?
November? Yeah.
Right now we've got a pumpkin cardamom with a brown butter cream cheese frosting, woodland apple that Do you have an adventurous listening? Are people fairly foodie?
Oh,
I don't hate
I
this
think
information,
we
but
have
I'm
a
going to
foodie
share
audience.
it. So we use a candy cap cream cheese frosting, which is actually a mushroom. It's got this really cool maple scented. It's a maple scented mushroom. I get it from a friend in California that has a mushroom shop, and it works really well with any kind of cream. Like it's really good with heavy creams. You can infuse. I've made cheesecakes with it, ice cream.
Oh, how intriguing!
But it's really it scares people if I lead with the mushroom bit. But it's honestly, I think it's the best flavor right now of the seasonals.
That's what makes it unique.
So is it a unique mushroom grown in California?
It is. I think he actually sources it in Oregon, but
Oregon. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen them around here, but that they may be here. I get them dry from California.
Understood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're super fragrant and just really fun. They're like a dessert mushroom.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that dessert mushroom.
That's amazing.
And then Wahoo Stout, which actually uses 3-notched Jack Strava Stout and Vitae Spirits coffee liqueur.
Our friends at Vitae,
Yeah. So that's a fun local one that has.
That's a cool collaboration.
Yes.
I love the collaborations. And I can't tell you how many people we have on that we found out. Oh yeah, they're working with that business, or they're working with their things. And a stout cake is such a classic.
It is. It's popular on game days and.
I can imagine, right? There's not enough alcohol in the system for young people during game days.
Just a little more sugar
They need a little
and
more.
alcohol,
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
Exactly.
Warm you up.
The weather's getting cold.
Exactly.
As Nicholas would say, a man's got to do something to keep warm. That's what our brother would say. So absolutely. So out of curiosity, what's it been like on the entrepreneur side? What are some of the ins and outs of being a small business owner in addition to baking?
Yeah, it's I'm really proud of us. It's hard. It's a lot of work. It's a family-run business. It's actually owned by 5 sisters.
Oh, wow.
My 4 older sisters and I are the actual owners. My husband and I. My husband's very involved as well. So my eldest sister Elizabeth and my husband and I run the show day to day. And then the other 4 sisters are investors, and they're cheering us on.
You're biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's really important. The challenges are daily.
Yep.
Being a small business owner, staffing challenges, equipment challenges, limited space, I think is the biggest challenge we're running into. Refrigeration space, because we're juggling case production, like keeping the case filled with slices, but we also have a significant wedding business. So it's just juggling those things, limited fridge space.
I would imagine that's very busy. Is it kind of all year long, or is it very busy like spring and fall?
Spring and fall are definitely the high seasons, but we're heading into the holidays, so that's also busy.
Yeah.
But summer months are lighter, and January, we're taking a week off the first week of January.
Good.
So that'll be good.
Nice refresher.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's important.
Yeah.
I think that's a good advice for a lot of small business owners. Like, do not feel like you need to wear yourself thin.
Right.
To keep the business going. Like, your customers, especially if you've done a great job, you have a wonderful customer base that is loyal to you, they're not going to just abandon you like, they weren't here this week, I'm going somewhere else. Like, they actually will stay
They'll
with
come
you.
back, yeah.
And it's right up there with like pay yourself as a small business owner. Some of the earliest entrepreneurs that'll go through like CIC classes and so forth. Like, what do you mean pay myself? Like the business, no, you need to pay yourself.
To survive.
Like you need to survive as well. Right. And right up there is like you don't need to feel like you can't take vacation.
Right.
Like it's important to actually.
Yes. It'll make the business better.
Yeah, exactly. It'll make you more productive.
Yeah.
And people will understand that your customers are wonderful people. So, absolutely. Olga Morse watching the show this morning from Puerto Rico. From Puerto Rico, she says, hola.
I bet the weather's a lot warmer in Puerto Rico right now than it is here.
Probably. No, she's happy that you have joined. She says, Michael, she's glad that you're on the Urpí radio team today. Fantastico.
Thank you,
she
Olga.
says.
Muchas gracias.
No, it's always
she doesn't say that when Xavier's on, does she? I don't remember that.
Maybe she likes you better than Xavier. We'll see. So, Susan, any advice for like people that are thinking about, they have a passion, they're thinking about kind of taking the plunge to being an entrepreneur? Any advice you'd have for them?
I think I have a strong support system. I think that's been my secret sauce. I've been completely supported by my family.
That's the good
That's
one.
wonderful.
You have to have that.
We can feel similar. We're family business as well.
I don't
so
feel that
we-
way. I don't feel that way.
Oh, yeah. It's just there's something special about doing it with family. It's just you have that trust of knowing that your biggest fans, they'll have your back, right? They'll pitch in, they'll spread the word.
And my mother's a huge part of it too, who lives here now and watches my little girl a lot. So yeah, it's completely a family-run business, and I couldn't have done it in California. It just wasn't ever possible, and it is now. So
Well, we're glad you're here in Charlotte.
Yeah, we're glad you chose Charlottesville.
I wouldn't want to have to buy a plane to California to go get some paid.
I mean, although Sonoma is beautiful, right? So, I mean,
It is.
it's not the worst place in the world to have to go fly to, right?
No, it's true, but it's a lot easier just go to West
It
Main
is.
and
Yeah.
pick up a
Absolutely.
cake.
Yeah.
Or have some champagne.
Yeah.
So that's for sure. That's for sure. So Susan, before we let you go, where can people find you, and or like website, Instagram, to sort of keep up with what's new at Kate Bloom?
yeah, our website is cakebloom.com, and that's where if you want to order cakes, whole cakes, or pre-order the slices, do that at the website. We have a 4-day lead time, so we definitely encourage pre-ordering to guarantee slices. Our Instagram is Cake Bloom CVille for shop news. So if you want to find out about the special events, we've got a tea service. Our potters have a potter cider and cake pairing tonight.
Nice.
Fried chicken Friendsgiving next week with Mel's Fried Chicken.
Oh.
So all those fun events are at Cake
Yep.
Bloom CVille on Instagram, also on Facebook. And phone number 434-328-8130. You can always give us a call.
Yep. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tate Bloom CVille on Instagram and Facebook. I'll go ahead and put that in.
And TikTok, but our TikTok's a little lame right now.
Obviously not. Got
Well,
people
no,
following
it
TikTok.
was someone else's. Yeah, we're still working on polishing.
You
our
never know.
TikTok.
Sometimes it just takes one.
It just
So
takes
that's
one.
right.
It
That's
just
so true.
takes one for that, and then TateBloom.com.
Cakebloom.com.
TateBloom.com to
Yeah.
order one of these amazing Tate flights or a cake or.
Yep.
And we would encourage you, and you're right on West Main.
Uh-huh.
It's very hard to miss. If you can find Jam Stock, Mel's Cafe, you're right along there on that side, and you can't miss it. Very easy to stop on by. And do people need to pre-order anything or pre-reserve for the cakes
flights?
with the flights?
Yes. So those are on our website as well.
Oh.
So definitely also by pre-order, just because we plan ahead with how many slices. So we also do a DIY slice experience. So you can come in and kind of wing it with whatever slices are in there, and then we'll do a pairing on the spot.
Oh,
Ooh,
that, a little more
that-
adventurous.
You're gonna live on the edge.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, I
Be
have
okay
no
with other
idea
food.
what's going on
Spontaneous.
today.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, okay.
I might go for that one
So
myself.
with
Be like,
cake and wine and champagne, I
can't
mean, you
go
can't go wrong, right?
they all sound so delicious, so it's not like you're gonna lose out. It's
Exactly.
like you go there and be like, "That's what you've got. Oh, let's do
Yeah.
it. Let's do it." Susan, this has been so much fun. Thanks so much
Yes,
for
thank you for
coming out.
coming
Thank you
on.
for these wonderful
Of course. Thanks for
cakes.
having me.
No,
Enjoy.
it's been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to keeping up with all the great events
Yeah.
at Kate Bloom.
Come on by.
Thank you.
We will.
so
Thank you.
much.
All right.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out TateBloom.com, and then on Facebook and Instagram, Tate Bloom CVille. So just
Now I'm kind of hungry though. All this talk of cake
you
is
got lunch.
I
Right
know.
Here. Skip whatever lunch you were gonna eat.
exactly ham and cheese sandwich. I don't think so.
Okay, from Kate Bloom. Another shout out. Thank you, John Blair, for watching the show this morning. Thank you, Keith Smith, for watching the show this morning. The
old
distinguished
friend Keith
gentleman.
Smith.
Our distinguished gentleman. In fact, he's done a little bit of a comment for us at SE, which we did kind of. We have a little time to do a little.
Okay.
Fancy segment. I'm throwing.
Oh, he has
this.
to-
He's got.
yeah.
Well, he says to check out this article. So Dow obviously opening higher
Yeah.
after the inflation report today. You know, different reasons why this might be. Of course, inflation did increase 0.4% month to month. The annual rate is 7.7%, so not as.
The expected was 7.9, correct?
I think it was a little less than
Yes,
expected
less than
on
expected.
both the month-to-month pace and the year-over-year pace. Obviously, 7.7%, not a great number, not as terrible as we've seen. I mean, we were hitting 9, 10, 11 sometimes
Yeah.
earlier this year.
But the problem was month to month
The
was still pretty
month-to-month
high.
went up, so prices.
Yes.
So the average person, you are probably going to be seeing some higher energy prices looks like.
Well, you were
probably
telling me
some
this morning you had seen an article which you didn't like the way it was phrased. Explain.
So you're often going to see, right, which probably is a good segue, and thank you, Keith, for sort of leading us into this. One of the advice I always do people, you will often see when you read a financial article, they will give you the headline inflation number. And then they will say, but the core inflation number was only, in this case, was only 0.3. The core inflation number takes out food and energy because supposedly these are very volatile, right? In other words, they move a lot. They go up and down a lot, food and energy. My issue with that is you as the average consumer, when, I don't know about you, but pretty much the two things I tend to buy most are food
and gas.
I mean, apart from rent.
Well, and not, especially considering now we're entering into months where you're going to need more heating.
More heating.
That comes in energy. So
absolutely. So my issue with that is that you're basically telling the average person, don't worry, inflation is better if you take out the stuff that you guys buy.
Exactly.
Well, that's not very helpful me. The fact that, I think the biggest decliner in terms of prices coming down, which will be helpful for some people, is used and new cars. Used and new vehicles prices went down a little bit. But the average person is like, how often are you buying used and new vehicles?
Yeah, inflation wasn't too bad for the stuff you're not buying, but it was might have been bad for the stuff you do actually buy. It's a little worse for the stuff you need to buy every day. Exactly.
So that's my only issue. So in other words, just as something to keep in mind, when you see the word core inflation number, that's because they've removed food and energy from that number. They've removed the inflation in food and energy to give you a more stable number, which over the long term you can understand, all right, they want a more stable number. But unfortunately, that does make it difficult. I always want people to know, be aware you might not see that number. You may go to the grocery store, you may go to the gas pump, right, and say, this doesn't look like 0.3%, this looks higher. That's because those inflation numbers are probably running higher than the core number that you're going to see. So it's something to keep in mind. Obviously, the market, remember, you might be sitting there saying, oh, well, wait a second, why is the Dow up 900? At least it was earlier today. Not sure what it's running right now. But you might be sitting there saying, all right, why is the Dow up 900 on a day in which inflation was up? Right? And again, it all comes down to expectations. In other words, the market doesn't really operate still up around 900. The Dow, S&P 500 up around 4%, so having a big day today. The market's often operate on expectation, right? It's not a matter of, was this news good or bad? Is this news better than expected or worse than expected?
Yeah, I think Nicholas always talks about how, like, the stock market doesn't really react to numbers or even logic. It always reacts to feelings. It's like, how do people feel the market is going to go? Well, it's like, well, this feels better. The inflation number feels better than what it could have been. Hence, the market could be up.
Exactly. Well, the market already reflected what it thought the number was going to be. In other words, if you can sort of boil it down to an individual company, right? If I'm sitting there saying I really like ABC company that makes apple pies, right? If I think the apple pie business is going to be great, I'm going to buy ABC company, right? It doesn't matter that I haven't actually seen ABC company's earnings yet. If I think that ABC company is going to have a good quarter, I'm going to buy ABC company now. I'm not going to wait till everybody else finds out what they did, right? So then if the earnings come out and the earnings are exactly the same as what I expected, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit there and say, well, I bought it.
Exactly.
And it's exactly what I expected it to be. If earnings are better than I expected, I might say, well, heck, I should buy some more. Is he doing even better than I thought? And if earnings are still good, but they're worse than I expected, I might actually sell. And you say, well, why would you sell? Earnings were good. So because I bought it at this price expecting these earnings. If the earnings are less than what I thought, I might sit there and say, well, the price isn't what I think it should be anymore. I might sell and wait for the price to adjust and then buy again.
Makes
so just, if you imagine me multiplied by millions of investors, multiplied by thousands of stocks, you can see just the movement of the market.
Can I ask you a question? So I don't know if you saw the other day that there was kind of like a mini crypto crash. Did you notice that?
We did.
Yeah.
I did notice that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about that? Because I saw a lot of people suddenly, all these articles saying now's the time to buy because it's crashing. But like, what's the floor with crypto? What's the ceiling? Because no one really knows.
That's the issue, right? In reality, there is no floor and there is no ceiling with crypto, because typically what would put a floor is, for stock, right, is the dividends or expected future dividends. So if you take Apple, right? Apple, let's say Apple, starts crashing, you sit there. There's always going to be someone who says, well, wait a second, I want Apple's dividend, right? Or I think Apple's making enough money that they will increase their dividend. Hence, I will buy Apple at this price. And so the crash is coming. And at some point, there's enough people that say, oh, my price is here.
Exactly.
The price at which I want to buy Apple has hit. The issue with crypto, right, is there is no underlying, right? Now, there are companies like Ethereum that have an underlying transaction base, but the Ethereum coin, like the actual currency itself, doesn't have an underlying dividend, right? So crypto doesn't have an underlying dividend. There is no price at which you say, well, at this point, the dividend that I'm getting from crypto is worth so much that I will buy.
Yeah.
The only reason to buy is because you think someone else will eventually pay you more for it, right? Which means if everyone's sentiment is negative, you can have these really big crashes because there's no one out there to say, at this price, I want the dividend. The only thing that will happen is at some point in the crash, you have to wait until someone says, at this price, I think someone else will pay me more. And in the midst of a anti-euphoria, right, in the midst of negative sentiment where the sort of the mob mentality is like sell, 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 it's a lot harder to find that person who says, oh yeah, at this price, the next guy will pay me for it, will pay me more. Because if you're sitting there saying, well, it might be a good price, but if the next guy won't buy it from me, what difference does it make that it's a good price? So it's a little more susceptible to those volatile crashes. And again, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there.
I think that's become one of the problems. It's like you have Bitcoin, then you had this other one, FTX.
You have the FTX.
FTX, I think the owner is filing for bankruptcy now. He went from being worth billions to now. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
His whole thing is falling apart.
Yeah, it's kind of tragic in a way. I do feel bad, but at the same time, fortunately, that's the nature of dealing in cryptocurrencies.
Right? Of course, Dogecoin is another one with a little dog with the glasses.
Yeah, I'm curious now, though, with Elon Musk owning Twitter, because he's big on cryptos. I don't know if you've ever seen, he's big on cryptos. I'm wondering whether he's going to try to install a feature where, you're paying you're paying now for verification on Twitter. He could installate a system where now you can actually pay through with crypto, which could be interesting to see how that affects.
It's interesting. The question always right. There's so many cryptos out there, right? That at a certain point, that 20 years in the future, are they all going to be there, or there's going to be a handful that survive? So the issue is if you believe in the theory that there will be a handful that will eventually separate, the others, the floor could very well be zero.
Exactly. No, they're going to go down.
Could be they're worth nothing.
I mean, it's survival of the fittest in any case.
Market tipping, right? Eventually, if everybody, you kind of saw this a little bit with Microsoft back in the day, they reached a point where in the PC market, but Apple obviously has a difference, but in the PC market, Microsoft competitors fell apart because once you had 51% of people using Microsoft, you can't be one of the 49 that doesn't. Because if you want to do business with the guy using Microsoft, he can't communicate, his system can't interact with yours.
Makes sense.
So if you get a tipping point where 60% of people are using
Bitcoin or Ethereum,
let's say they're using Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, right? They're using 3. What's the point of owning number 7 if you can't find anyone else willing to transact with you in number 7, right? So the problem is there may be some whose floor actually is zero. And since they don't have a dividend to underlie that, and they don't have a revenue stream, there is nothing to sort of hold them up, right? So that's the risk of these kinds of
it will be very difficult to predict which ones. I mean, you can try your best to predict, but it's going to be very difficult to predict which ones will. And like you said, in 20 years, it's going to be people are going to be still using, and the others that are just going to be gone.
Exactly. So it's the challenge of crypto. It's just something for people to keep in mind it's a different scenario than pittiness.
Yes. Yeah, it's just worrisome because so many people kind of like, well, now's like the time to buy. It's like, well, is it though? I mean, just because it's going down a lot doesn't necessarily mean you should jump in.
Well, there's two schools of thought. Xavier had an old friend whose philosophy was always momentum philosophy. In other words, you buy things that are going up, not things that are going down. But then you'll get your tactical people who have the opposite mentality of, no, when things go down, you try to find the bottom, and
exactly.
then they'll have to turn around. So you got your reversion to the mean people, and then you've got your momentum people that are like, no, I don't buy when things are going down. I buy when things are going up. So
a safer mentality. Less chance for a bigger upside, but a much safer mentality.
Well, unless you're the guy who buys last at the peak.
That's true.
It's like, everyone's buying, let me buy.
Yeah, but you can if you do your research, you'll know if you hit peak, because if it went like this and now it's going like this, you have to be aware. It's like, okay, if I'm buying now, it could be the peak.
It could be the peak.
So
it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Is to know when to sell. Absolutely. Well, Mike, this has been a lot of fun.
Fun show.
It was a great show. We had some fantastic guests. Thank you, Philip Dowell, for watching. On Nicholas comments, Nid has a good comment. Nicholas says, "I never sound as wise as when Michael quotes me."
I have to do my best, Nikki.
He's working on it.
Exactly,
He's trying to make you sound wiser than perhaps reality.
Listen, put it this way: even a broken clock is right twice a day, right?
Hey, you know. Poor Nicholas. Oh, and thank you to Gerard Sweeney. This says, thanks, fellas, for having Susan on. It was an absolute pleasure. It was a blast. So thank you for being involved and helping put together a fantastic local business. So just really excited to have everyone on. We look forward to next week. We'll have some other great guests. We're going to have on Anna Pillow. So she's the executive director of the Art Center in Orange.
Okay.
As well as Crustworthy Pizza. So
Crustworthy Pizza.
So we got another pizza group.
Lots of pizza places in Charlottesville. It must be a big hit.
I mean, who doesn't love pizza?
Well, of course. Pizza's one of those generations.
Speaking of that, I had the great pleasure of going to the soft opening of Popito's Pizza.
Oh, Popito's Pizza.
On Tuesday. So delicious. Really would encourage people. Their grand opening is going to be tomorrow, November 11th. So Friday pizza night.
Sounds like
Popito's
a done
Pizza.
deal.
You can't miss it. It's on Ryle Hill. Their new brick and mortar, their brick and mortar, is on Ryle Hill Shopping Center. So if you know where the Kroger is on that shopping center, it's right to the left. You're facing the Kroger, right to the left.
Which is the Ryle Hill?
That's the one by Lowe's up on 29.
Okay.
Can't miss it. Even though they're doing a little renovation on the upper part. There's a big sign that says wood-fired pizza. So you find the wood-fired pizza. You see the door, you see the cool Popito's Pizza neon logo with the flame coming out. So, and they're such sweet people, Ray and Lauren. So it was a great time. Really would encourage people to check that. They're amazing pizza. They have snacks. They have, he had some arancini.
Did you tell me they also had cannolis?
They had some cannolis there. They've got some meatballs. Their meatballs are really good.
Oh, meatballs.
So they got a lot of fantastic snacks.
They got the whole Italian lineup there. They got the Italian lineup.
Catering outfit, table that you can cater stuff. So, I mean, if you were planning a fun party between the pizza and the snacks, you were going to be set with Popito's Pizza. So definitely would encourage people to go check it out. Grand opening tomorrow. Grand opening was this week for our friends at Fusion Cafe. Fernando, so be sure to check out Fusion Cafe, check out his coffee of the month, as well as, of course, the paninis that will be paired with that. So a lot going on. So just really encourage people to support our local businesses. It's very important.
Yeah, a lot of unique businesses out there, too.
Exactly. Be sure to do that. Thanks so much.
No, thank you for having me. I was glad to be here.
It's always a lot of fun to be with you on Today Mañana. Thank you to the audience for participating, for your comments, for watching today. Be sure to like and share today's show. Send us any other entrepreneurs that you think would love to be on. Never any cost to do that. Never any cost to come on Today Mañana. So
it's free advertising.
How could it go wrong?
Exactly.
You had to come here and chat it up for 15
Remember, they said there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? There's only publicity.
Exactly. And that's what we'll give you, publicity. So and a fun time.
Exactly.
Just sit down and chat. So I always appreciate being presented by Emergent Financial Services, empowered by our good friends at Tassel Hill Cider, at Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash, at the Gym CVille, Craddock Serious Insurance, and Forward Adelante. On behalf of Michael and myself, really appreciate being on. Thank you, Judah, behind the camera. Thank you, I Love CVille Network, for this fantastic studio. I'm just always being to come on here every Thursday and have a great time. Thank you to our audience. We look forward to seeing all of you next week. But until that time, as we always like to say, today y mañana, hasta mañana.